We go on the first conversation today, which is on the scourge of the increasing scourge of food inflation in Nigeria, and all that has to do with the National Bureau of Statistics report that said that 40.66% increase of food inflation in Nigeria is really causing a whole lot of worries. And last year we had 20.82% increase. And this year we are having over 15% increase as we have 40.66. And what does it do? What could be this implication? The prices of food commodities on the increase. Some have said that it's as a result of the cost of transportation that has increased. Also as a result of insecurity and poor packaging and storage facilities that we are facing in Nigeria, and a whole lot of others. Discussing this menace, how to tackle it and closing the gap, is a political economist, also public affairs analyst, Ibrahim Momo. Thanks for joining, Ibrahim.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, very distinguished viewers. You're welcome to the program. And
also joining me via Zoom from Ekpoma, Edo State, is the Chief Responsibility Officer of Jose Maria Escrivá Foundation, and he is an economist, Jude Obasomi. Dr. Jude Obasomi, you're welcome to the show.
Good morning, Philip, and good morning, listener. Good to be here once again.
All right, Dr. Jude, let me start with you. The issue surrounding the scourge of the inflation rate at the increase is actually causing a whole lot of worries to Nigerians. What do you say about this development as we have a huge increase in percentage as regards what we had last year? Does it show that the administrative policies of the present government is having impact positively on the economy?
Okay, thank you very much. I would say that what we are currently experiencing today, the result of what I may call the aftermath of several challenges that have been passing for the past, let's say, conservatively, 12 years. I would say that starting from the era of President Jonathan's second term, where we had issues of banditry, where we had issues of farmers unable to go to their farms, and we had no other than to rely on our reserves. And realized that several, mobilize farmers to go to the farms and to see how they can also mobilize farmers to produce. But however, most of all these policies were not working. One is the issue of corruption that are eating deep into the sector. For example, there was a time, based on the study I did, where farmers were made to have their smartphones given to farmers, hoping that with that they'll be able to track the distribution of fertilizer. But most of the time, most of all these farmers who need fertilizer never got fertilizer at the right time. Most of them got fertilizer by the time they're already done with the farming season. And nothing has to do with this issue of banditry, farmer headers clashes that took place around, particularly in the era of President Buharis. That was tough. People could not go to their farms. And we did not see that to be a major challenge. That one now came up and thereafter entered COVID-19. Recall that during COVID-19, about 2 years, people could not actually go to their farms to do much work. And to believe that food production was more or less left for those rural communities. But some of us believe that strongly. The challenge we had was that much effort was built on for those living in the rural communities, without realizing the fact that even those in the urban cities like you and others can also go into farming. So all these challenges are what gradually led us to this current state whereby people are, the food inflation is increasing at an alarming rate. And government sincerely is not doing much to address the issue. It's not a matter of giving palliatives. For example, now you just say that because of the cost of food is increasing, you now go and take 6 cups of rice that you are given to a household of about 4. It's not proper at all. Government should go back and ensure that issue of insecurity is addressed. That's the only way we can begin to attend to all the cause. One, the issue of insecurity was never defeating Boko Haram, defeating terrorists technically, whereas we saw with, among us here now that things were not going on. For example, in one community where I stay in Ekpoma, you had these people going to farms. They are scared. Nobody wants to be kidnapped. How do you expect them to produce? Coupled with cost of, farming inputs. These are challenges. And again, too, now the state of our roads. For example, now last week I was MO in one community where they produce pineapples. You need to see the quantity of pineapple produced in that community, but no road to go and harvest those goods from there. What happened was that middlemen came with their big trucks, bought these things at a very cheap rate, now took them to Benin, Port Harcourt, other places, and they start to sell at a very high rate. So you can see that all these little bottlenecks are what culminated into this food inflation we are currently experiencing in Nigeria. And this is just the beginning. Next step might be tough. There's a deliberate effort by government to do the needful.
We also had reports where the federal government released the food commodities from its strategic food reserves a few weeks back, and in order to mitigate the gap and also look at ways to ameliorate the plight of the citizens of the country. To what extent can you say this has impacted?
It cannot work at all. So let's not deceive ourselves. It cannot work. For example, now there was a trending video at the time whereby some people said the grains that came out from the silos in the north were not good enough for people to consume. We have one silo, I think, yes, we have one in Nira, in the Eastern Central. It cannot work. By the time they built those silos, our population was not as high as this. So how can you carry a bag of rice, maybe 10 kg, and go and give to a household of about 4 or 6, and claim that they're trying to suppress, the food insecurity we have in our country? It cannot work. Those are more or less avenues to deceive Nigeria. The only way out is to make sure we cut all these middlemen, ensure that the land is free for farmers to go there and do the needful. If that is not done, there's no amount of palliative, there's no amount of grains that are going to be made available for the people to consume. And again, all these palliatives, so to say now, are more or less short-term arrangements. There's no long-term plan to ensure that things are, hopefully by next year now, we have a lot of food to consume. In Edo State, you recall, the governor said that there are so many farmlands in Sabo, in Agenebu, and what have you. Are they producing? If they are producing, where are those goods going into? So the distortion in the supply chain in terms of production, how you get to the market, are from those issues that I strongly believe that more be addressed. It's not a matter of just opening the silo and giving out 10 kg of rice or 10 kg of curry to give to people. To me, that is quite insulting. Our population is more than what we can give. And again, if you look at it, who are those that benefit? It's a record that we took part in sharing of some of these palliatives. And I was ashamed when I was part of a team that went to go and give 5 kg of rice to a family of 5. I told myself, if they prepare this meal now, it will only take them for one, it's going to be for one meal. What happens thereafter? So there must be a conscious effort, which we are not seeing. Every day the government keeps promising, the new agriculture keeps telling us that they are spending billions of naira. I tell you this, some of us are not comfortable with the statistics given by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. It is very, very wrong. It's not correct at all. So it's on the average. If you look at the cost of Gary, sorry, I'm not making of Gary, but that's more or less a stable food of Gary last year and now. It's more than the so-called percentage difference that the Bureau has considered. Last year, a model of Gary was going for about 1,400. As of today, it goes for nothing less than 5,000 naira, and it can go begin to weigh the quality of that guy that is being produced. The quality has also dropped because farmers are scared of going to their farm. What they now do is to use some chemicals to see how they can ensure that an item that will last about 6 to 8 those chemicals, and under 3 or 4 months, it is ready for people to consume. That's why they now call the hybrid. That is why most persons now are having so many chronic challenges, kidney problems, because what we are now consuming are not natural food. They're more or less food that have been processed in an informal manner, not for the process of ensuring that these foods are made available for people to consume. On the long run, we are going to see the effect of this abuse of chemicals on our plants and vegetables that we consume this particular product. You might wonder why is it that when you buy both banana nowadays, you taste it, then you don't feel that original taste of banana. The question is, what would have happened? Where we got it wrong? It's the effect of this chemical that's being used to ensure that they reduce the period for such products to get matured for us to consume. And again, they want to see how best can make enough profits That's what is going on currently at the moment in that sector. So that statistics given by the NBS is very, very wrong, and I stand to be corrected.
Jude Obasomi, I'll come back to you, but let's quickly say that while we had a break, while you were on, we had the opportunity to be joined by a legal practitioner, senior pastor of Faith Pillars Gospel Center, and he is a social media influencer, Dr. Patrick Awosage. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me, Philip, and good morning, Nigerians.
All right, let's have your bite, Ibrahim. You are a political economist, and let's look at the politics involved and, of course, the economic policies of President Bola Tinubu. Nigerians were expecting that as he hit the ground running last year with the promise he made that after 1 year, there will be a template that will show proof that it's in the right direction. Now, what do you assess about the economic policies of the president's administration, most especially when some experts are saying that he should look beyond the narrow consideration of party loyalty in getting the pegs in right holes? Rather than doing that, he should go into getting those who, the cap fits, those who have the wherewithal, to fix the policies, the economy of the country. What do you think about the performance in 1 year?
Well, if I'm to assess the current administration's performance over a year, I would do sector by sector analysis, and then maybe we can do an interlink. But let me start with, some of the issues that Jude Obasami, my friend, has already, highlighted. One of those issues, because we should look at the fact that food security is critical. Government, the concept of the state or government is that the government exists to do for the people what ordinarily they cannot do for themselves. That is why they give us some of their rights. Our rights, our liberties are constrained, are limited because there's a government. Also, we pay our taxes. Some of our income is taken out of a part of our income, whether a private sector or public sector individual player. Part of your income is taken over by government in the form of taxes, because so that they can provide for those you can't provide for yourself. So a key element to this is the issue of food security. Traditionally, because it is not by mistake, it's not an oversight, it's not a coincidence that there's security in that phrase, food security. Traditionally, when we talk about security, it's about national security, protecting a country's territorial integrity, so that they don't have external attacks. It moved beyond that to kind of a narrow conception, which is regime security. Recently, whether it was true or false, we heard that we were told, we saw on the social media, though I think did not report it, that the number 3 citizen of the country, Godswill Akpabio, said that the president's security, personal security is more important than. So we don't have official, but if it was true, he said it's an element of the idea of regime security. It's about those in power. But in contemporary sense, nobody talks about regime security. These are anachronistic conception of security, because security goes beyond that. For example, in the contemporary sense, talking about human security, government exists constitutionally for the protection of lives and citizens of the people, lives, property of the citizens. And then we have the idea of not just human security, of also food security. A country cannot be secure when its people are hungry. One of the elites, one of the promoters of food security in society, ordinarily, is hunger. People can be forced to do odious things.
Okay. So narrow it down to the policies of the present government.
Yes.
Because Dr. Jude spoke about insecurity, just like what you are also hammering on. Yes. Do you see security as improving? Because at present we still have the challenge where some persons, some farmers are unable to access their farmlands. So how do you rate his performance so far in this regard, in mitigating the gap?
Yeah, to assess the government performance, we have to look at the elements of food security. There are 3 elements. Number 1 is availability. Number 2 is accessibility, or if you may, affordability. The food may be available, but people cannot afford it. It's not accessible to people, even though it's available. You go to the market, you'll see food. But how many people can purchase it? The third element is sustainability over a period of time. So there is availability, there is affordability or properly accessibility. Because it's a more broader concept. Accessibility and then sustainability. So when we look at it from this, who put that in scale, this government performance, I think when it comes to availability, there's no significance. Because one of the drivers of deflation in lowering of the general price of goods and services is when you have so much pursuing so little money. So when you look at the level of availability, as the quantum of food available, has it increased? Obviously it hasn't.
It hasn't.
Because even when farmers are still producing, particularly in the north, there is the issue of banditry, there's the issue of farmer-herders clashes, there's the issue of kidnappings, there's the issue of outright terrorism, killing of farmers, bombing of, this criminality goes on there. So first of all, at the level of production, the farms are no more producing optimally. Even the ones that are produced, getting them from farms to the markets, from the north to the south, because the food basket is in the north, whereas the main market is in the south. Getting it from the north to the south is a Herculean task. Those who have ever applied the Benin, Ekpoma, Hawochi, Lokoja, Abuja roads will tell you it is hell on earth. On a daily basis, there is food trailers. I've seen a trailer load of goats that fell into a ditch, and every of those animals died. I wasn't told. I even had the video on my mobile device. A full trailer load of goats that died. Because
as a result of falling into a ditch?
Yeah, a ditch. And there was this popular one in Ekpoma. People saw it. I think it was a very viral video. When the trailer delved into the water and it collapsed. And that video went viral about a month ago. So getting the food from the farm to the market is almost impossible. Okay. So because of that, this government, we cannot say that when it comes to food security, they have performed. They have not, because whether at the level of availability or accessibility, or even sustainability, if it's never available or accessible, how can we even talk about sustainability? So,
okay,
for me,
if we look at one of the causative factors that has been also spoken about as regards the cost of transportation that is on the increase as a result of so many factors, majorly the fuel subsidy removal. I remember vividly we were in a forum where Dr. Patrick Awosage also lent his voice on this conversation as regards the policy of President Bola Tinubu in getting things done in 1 year. And you spoke well about this, but where are we today? What's your bite in this regard?
Thank you very much, Philip. Yes, I did spoke well. You must understand, you may have good policies, you may have good intentions, but those that drive these set policies and intentions of yours matters a lot. So basically, you see, why I look at the way the situation of the country, leadership in itself may really have good intention. Like we have had several leaders in time past. We know the Operation Feed the Nation talk, the Green Revolution. We have been having a couple of these back and forth. But the truth is that, you see, there's something about our nation and country and culture and people, the way we function and behave. We try to only target the man on top, a man who bears the shadow, who's there, and that's the President, Tinubu. If he has given directive, okay, now, someone was saying to me yesterday, he said, oh, you mean Buhari released so much money to state governors? And he didn't know. And I said, oh, you mean you thought it was a joke? Monies have been turned out every day, given and diverted from one place or the other. EFCC, ICPC, all these enforcement agents are so saddled with so much work to apprehend somebody. I wonder why a nation like Nigeria will be having issues of what we are talking about. It doesn't make any sense. So it's not even about Bola Tinubu. It's about Nigerians. It's about the way we think, our desire, undying desire to become so wealthy overnight.
It's not about his economic policies.
It's not about the policies are okay. They are very much in tandem. They are absolutely fine. I'm talking about those that will implement them, those that are saddled with the responsibility, that will turn, divert the funds. Okay, look at the roads. How can we be talking of Ekpoma Road? I remember years ago as a student of that school, you were there, you remember, the road was good. Do we ever had any issue of road issue in Ekpoma? And we were saying government was not functioning at the time. Where are we now? That you cannot even, going to Ekpoma is like going to an evil forest, with all respect. It's unfortunate. So these are issues. There are things we are not even supposed to be buying. People are suffering, and it's just like he mentioned that the Senate president makes such comments. Yes, comments like that, and for me, politicians will always be politicians. Winston Churchill has said, politicians don't believe what they are saying. They are wondering why you believe them. I don't take their words seriously when they just come on media and talk. That's not what I'm talking about. Now, let's leave the jokes apart. Now, back to ourselves. Okay, look at it. The policies are there. Those implementing it, those that are saddled with the responsibility of disbursing funds, check their record and check. EFCC will have a lot of work there. That's the problem, majorly. Now, again, you that is also become the victim, so to speak, you sit back and watch you're on social media and analyzing issues on the nation without having a second thought that you have a little garden behind you. I could grow some few tubers of yam here. I could try to do something for myself, because it's an issue of everybody coming together. Because the government will only assist you to come up a little. What are you doing for yourself? For those that have it. Like for where I'm majorly concerned is you as a person now that have the opportunity to grow some farmland somewhere. You sit back and you are going to the market. Why not think alternatively of how to also help yourself? At least to cushion poverty, to cushion the shortage of food. Because as it is now, it's obvious that it's like a joke. I'm wondering what is going on. Because if the roads are not fixed, of what use is your produce in the farm? If the roads are bad, and the man that is responsible to go there, okay, the man said, well, I went there, I couldn't access the road. They were waiting for whatever construction firm to come and fix it. And then all these things drag on, and the money has been released, this boss in the office, money moving into several accounts, and all this nonsense going on that we have known in this country. So this is what it is. Okay. We need to sit up, we need to look into all that. Before you cast aspersion at Mr. President, yes, I will rise to his defense again. Like you have just said, yes, I will. It's not a president issue. It's a Nigerian's mentality and system issue. It's the way we operate. Somebody will steal money and be telling you the government is bad. Somebody will divert fund and tell you nothing is working in the ministry. They will tell you now, Obaseki have done nothing, he has not done anything. And somebody will say, well, he has started some of the roads in Benin. What I'm not a politician. I don't do partisan politics. I don't do it. I'm not into that. But what I'm saying, let's be very objective and let's be very realistic. We have our own blame. Jesus Christ said, if you must remove the speck in a man's eyes, remove the log in your own. What are you doing? John F. Kennedy had said, ask not what your country will do. What are we doing for Nigeria? Nigeria has become one big name that we talk about. What are we really doing? So in terms of civil security, the irresponsibilities stem from the government and those that are actors there, and those that are the middlemen, like you have mentioned earlier on, that want to triple the price for getting they have family and loved ones that they are feeding. This is Nigeria to Nigeria. And again, we are talking about insecurity again, or in the bush, that they have, killers and those headers, killer headers in the bush. I agree. Okay, do you know we export cash crops in this country? Close to 65% of our arable lands is being consumed by cash crop. And then you are exporting it. And those killer herdsmen don't attack that area. Is it not funny for you to know that there are industries abroad that collect stuff from Nigeria on a regular basis? Our crude oil, no problem. They are pulling it and it's going. And money is coming in.
The areas are secured.
They are secured, fine. So, but what I'm trying to say, the arable land we have in this country, close to 65% of it is on cash crop. So we are still doing very well. But they don't give you that statistics because they don't want you to get upset. We have all of these things. So we cannot continue to deceive ourselves and then we continue to blame back and forth. It's a system that is evil. And again, I have said, and I will continue to say, the Constitution is long overdue. We should do away with it. The Constitution is another major problem. And I think you can see the regional aspect. The president is trying to talk about regional government and all of that. These are the good steps that we should start looking at, because it's when you can hold somebody accountable. They say Abuja have spoken. Who is Abuja? There's the president have spoken. Presidency. He said the presidency cannot prosecute. I think some minister, one secretary said that some time ago. Who is the presidency? All those kind of nasty statements. People that should rot in jail. Okay. People that the law should have a toll on. And we're just joking. And that's the truth. We must tell ourselves the truth.
Thank you, Dr.
I'm also a farmer. I grow my stuff around. So if you are hungry, please try and look for a nearby bush. It's raining now. And clear it and start planting, so that you can sustain yourself first before you have strength to converse on national TV or in social media. I think that's my thoughts on all this.
Thank you, Dr. Patrick. I want you to articulate your reactions on what Dr. Patrick said, Dr. Jude Obasomi. A whole lot has been said as regards what he spoke about in terms of the implementation of the economic policies. He said the country has good economic policies, but its implementation is the challenge. And we also have situations where, control in prices, for instance, seem not to be properly regulated. Most especially where we see prices, that are easily affected by contagious, reasons. And we see under the guise of unionism, prices just go high and no one is there to control it. Is it the federal government that should be involved in this? Or is it more of a followership problem than leadership? Please, can you unmute yourself, Dr. Obasomi? We can't hear you. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I'm sincerely sorry. It's part of the food insecurity I'm currently facing in this part of the world in April. I just want to quickly correct a notion that the road from Benin to Ekpoma is a bad state, but anybody coming to Edo Central is not going to a condemned community like my pastor and my brother said. All of us went to Ekpoma, all of us in the state of the road. That being said, in terms of policies, sincerely, I've not seen any clear-cut policy of government or President Tinubu that is addressing this issue of food insecurity in the country. Recall that I think the Minister of Food and Agriculture and Food Security in one of the conferences attended in Uganda, what he said was that the federal government is working towards ensuring that they can address this issue of food crisis in Nigeria so that the issue of unemployment, insecurity, and what will be addressed. But all of us are currently witnesses to what is going on. Has anything changed? The answer is no. Nothing has changed. Things are getting worse. And if I were the minister, I would have just gone ahead to honorably resign. So I strongly believe that the government has not been fair to Nigeria, because food security was part of the 8-point agenda of President Bola Tinubu when he was campaigning and going around the country asking all to vote for him. Now he has been voted into office. Food is no longer secured for people is no longer secured for the average Nigerian. In fact, one would have expected that we're gradually going from a subsistence economy to a market-oriented economy. But what we are facing, instead of us aspiring to that level of having a broad-based market economy, we are gradually going down to subsistence, way of survival in terms of having food on our table, which is not too proper at all. What strategic development as the government policy have they implemented that now will say that yes, the government is for me? I scored the president 0 on that point. They have done nothing at all, because that issue of insecurity that is what they need to address. They mentioned the issue of market unions. I must confess, it is very, very sad. Recall in my earlier presentation, I mentioned that the supply chain, you're having some challenges. You go to the market, like example, let me give an example of Urui. I was there 2 weeks ago. A dozen of pineapple was sold for about, I think around 4,000 naira a dozen, responsible pineapple. In that same market, because we arrived there quite late, we were conducting an activity for our foundation that turned 10 years. That same market, I went there to go and price the pineapple. That's fine. How can we get to Rui? I'm coming down to Ekpoma and able to get some to shoot to our people. That same pineapple was sold to us for 12,000 naira, 1,000 naira for one. Those were quite big. So the question is, what happened between the point where the first person bought the pineapple and where we now went to buy it? The pineapple did not move from that point at all. So you can see the activities of middlemen who are more or less compounding the already complex situation. You see, now by the time you now move into the town, they face bigger challenges. You know, you have all these market unions, like in Ekoma here now, and Nira and Uromi. You have these, I don't know how to describe them, I want to be very civil, funny set of unions that want a trailer load of tomatoes or what onions arrives the market. They will first of all go and play what I may call, permit me, a standing alliance to the Egbe or what have you in the market. They will not be the one to put the prices. That is going to be the price for a basket of tomatoes. And you cannot go and sell otherwise. So you cannot expect a market woman who buys at a very high rate coming to sell at a lower rate. That connects us to this issue of regulatory authorities. You have the so-called Consumer Protection Commission. Are they working? I used to see that, I realized that basically they don't even know what they are doing. They would have been the one to help us to regulate the price of all these items. And again, too, now, are commodities or goods properly measured? Do we have scale to see that a bottle of oil, groundnut oil, will be the same quality with what might be sold in Benin? We don't have those things in place. Not that you have a good measuring template, so that if you are buying a tuber of it, maybe go to the market, they go and scale it for you, that this one is worth 1 kg, it is 4,000 naira. Then that's the only way you can address that issue. But again, you cannot blame those that are selling at the higher rate because the cure is high. Somebody selling groundnut will be able to come and pay taxes. Somebody selling pure water will be able to come and pay taxes to God. Whereas not have been improved in that marketplace. Today is Ekoma market day. We need to see people going to the marketplace. A lot of food items. The question is, how come? Is it that when you now go to the same market to go and buy this item, you are unable to buy them? It's the work of all these unions in the market. But I want to appeal to our traditional rulers and government to think of how best to address this issue. I know things are bad, but they are not as bad as the way as it's being painted or being orchestrated by these middlemen who don't even know where the farm is located. So I don't believe that in addressing that, government must come up and do the needful. People cannot sell independently. You go to the marketplace now with your food crops, your plantain or whatever, you cannot sell. They want to sell at reasonable rate. Somebody will come and tell that you cannot sell like that. So I believe that what we need to do is for us to now go back and begin to tell ourselves that, sorry, before we had that kind of thinking that farming was meant for rural folks, but rather when the urban communities to also engage in farming. So that our government is telling us when countries are developing and advancing, but our government is not telling us that fine, we have to reverse back to sustain the economy. Let us go back. If you can plant your tomatoes, your onions, or whatever behind your house, or if you want to use some sack bags to plant your food crop, or maybe have a fish pond, maybe that will help us. By the time we now reverse back, instead of moving forward, I don't know what the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security will now tell the world that when they came into office, the only thing they could achieve was for them to kill that sector. And I tell you this, not until the conscious effort to address that issue of insecurity, there is no way we can get it right when it comes to food security. The issue of palliative that they are giving cannot work, and it's not working. Nigerians should not be deceived. Let Nigerians know that our leaders do not have us in their mind at all. And as we begin to work towards election or voting, we must be conscious to make sure that whatever government anybody promises to give must be documented and as part of our annual election that says short pencil is better than long memory. In other words, get that candidate, let him put it down that my first year in office, I'm going to make sure that there's food, there's this, there's that. That is the only way you can hold him accountable. But now, if you go and ask President Tinubu now that you said your 8-point agenda, that there'll be food security, we are entering the second year, what have you achieved? They will tell that more or less, those things are more or less campaign promises, and it's different from what is currently obtainable now. But I believe that it's quite shameful that a population of over 200 human beings who are determined to work, a country blessed with rich natural and human resources, we are unable to feed ourselves. It's not shameful. And yet government is talking about palliative. I want to appeal to Nigeria. If there's a way we can even reject the palliative, let them keep the palliative and ensure that the atmosphere is conducive for us to work. That is the way forward, and not sharing palliative. For the policies, I've not seen any policy of government.
But I take exception to what you stated concerning the leaders not having the citizens of the country at heart. That was a general and a bogus statement. You can't say the leaders entirely, but I think your choice of words is important when in this conversation. Well, I'll come back to you to take your closing remarks. Let's get your nudges for the federal government, your nudges for the state government. As regards these palliatives and, of course, mitigating the gap, you know, as regards making sure that the prices of commodities in the market are properly regulated so that the consumers will not be exploited.
Well, the first thing is to say that the issue of price regulation is not something that the federal government can do. It's not something that you don't, at the micro level, the federal government should not be involved. It's not something for the federal government. I think, first of all, we need to also realize that the most important office in the country is the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Are you saying that we don't have price regulatory authorities?
We ought to have. But again, even their reach, there are a lot of factors to put into place. Look at it this way. One, the costs of production, of maybe farming implements, that's one. Secondly, the cost of transportation. And then you now have all these very criminally minded middlemen who form themselves into unions, who have no other business other than
to sabotage the process.
Make profits, unnecessary profit from an economic process they did not play a part in. This price fixing is the order of the day. And sometimes, because the government at the subnational level, maybe states and local governments, are using these people to achieve their own inordinate ambitions, they tend to empower them. They even sanction them. They even appoint them into positions that will give them the right to perpetrate the evil that they are doing. So, first of all, I think that the issue of price fixing or price regulation is not a federal government issue. Secondly, I am saying that there are a couple of factors that go into what prices, goods and services are sold for. I've mentioned the issue of the cost of implements, of farming implements, cost of inputs, farming inputs, the seedlings, the cost of labor. These are some of the things the farmer has to bear. And then the cost of moving them. Ordinarily, if you check, the cost of moving goods from the farm to the market in Nigeria today has more than quadrupled, 4 times what it used to be, maybe like 4 years ago. It has gone up because of the bad roads, because of the insecurity, and so on and so forth. Even the cost of fuel or diesel. Every of these things have made the cost of transportation of goods from farm to market very expensive. And despite all this, you now also have a criminal set of persons, call themselves unions, whose business is inflating prices so they can make a profit out of that inflation. They share the profit with the sellers. But the cost of imputing those prices so that they can get a share from a process that they did not play any role in. They didn't play any role just to make sure that things are more expensive. So I think that ordinarily, at the very best level, it have been local governments. But what you see in Nigeria local government, 2 days ago, just on Saturday here, one of the headlines in the paper said that it's only in 15 states in Nigeria that you have elected local government officials. At 36 states in Nigeria, 21 of those 36 states, local government officials are not elected. So when you have that kind of situation, how can you have an effective local government administration to regulate prices? Even the 15 that you are calling elected, quote unquote, they are, to use my friend's language, they are stooges. They are there at the behest of those at the subnational states. For example, you have seen whereby the current governor of Sokoto State, Dada Lawa, sorry, of Zamfara State, defeated an incumbent governor of God's content.
Okay, by this you seem not to communicate hope that there will be changes.
I am saying that the first line of reform of this challenge is defeatism.
Okay.
That's why I said that's why I started with saying that the highest office of the land is the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The kind of leaders you get is not far away from the kind of people we are.
That's correct.
It's a reflection of who
they are Nigerians now. The people who are ruling us at the states, at the federal level, The ministers, the commissioners, the House of Assembly, senators, they are all Nigerians. They didn't bring Americans or Ghanaians to come and superintend over our Commonwealth. They are a reflection of Nigerians.
But a whole lot was said about past administration, for instance, in terms of road construction, road rehabilitation, and you made reference to the Ekuma Road, for instance.
Yes.
Now, what has changed? Are they not still same Nigerians that also mantle that mans the offices of the government?
It is one thing. I think it spoke eloquent to that point. It is one thing to have very good policies. And I think that government after government have fine policies in place. It is one thing to have policies. It is quite another to follow through and implement those policies. What is clear is that potential is not enough. What is clear is that having good policies, potentially wonderful policies in place on paper, is not enough. Having 8-point agenda, 3-point agenda, 7-point agenda is not enough. It is the civil servants, it is the subnational, it is the director, it is the contractor, it is the politician who gets to drive those policies. Where is his mind at in terms of developmentalism? Where is his mind? Where is his mind when it comes to economic development? Where is his mind in terms of common welfare, the welfare of the people?
All right.
We see that.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's look at the aspect of the instability of the Naira, for instance. He made mention of the fact that a lot needs to be done in terms of the followership, in terms of implementation of policies, like what you also said. Now, what do you make of this? The stability of the Naira, how can we get it right? Most especially as a lot has been said in that direction that is also causing, part of the reasons that we are having, skyrocketing prices of food commodities.
Thank you very much. You see, it's like a chain reaction. Chain reaction.
Yeah.
In the sense that you're talking of stability. I don't know when they keep talking about they want to strengthen the Naira. I wonder what they are saying. I know I did economics too, and I read at the secondary school level, so, but I did all of that. Now, what are we doing that will stabilize the Naira? That's the question we should be asking. Because if there is no fun doing anything meaningful, you cannot really bring anything to the table. You cannot even be talking about this is what we are. We're only just, how will I put it? We don't produce anything meaningful that the world will see. That will now export.
The balance of trade is negative.
And then at that level. Now, all we have is that we have the natural resources and we are singing with it. We have been singing since Olobiri and nobody, that song have not ended, that we have reached in natural resources. And I get very irritated. Because why? We have not moved. We have not mentally moved from the fact that the reality on ground today is not what you had in the years of Gowon. Okay. And somebody is still making an assertion about what Gowon said that no, come on, let's move on. If he has said that as a young man in his late 20s, 30, and then he's made statements, you are still holding him to that. That's what he saw. He was a soldier man. So why can't we, now that you have come from Harvard, we have written of Harvard graduates, London School of Economics, you know them now, those big names. They have all those big economy. They have been unable to do anything. So that's what I'm talking about. So you cannot make the Naira stable, stabilize the Naira, when you don't have, and you have not invested. You're talking about, it's not a thing you manipulate. You must be fun doing something, just like a student, for instance. I will use that as an analogy now, like a student in school. You want the student to come out with flying colors, you want him to do well, and a good number of them will go patronize other means to passing exams. Now, at the end of the day, I and my brother Ibrahim, we took on that, sat for an exam.
All right.
I had manipulated I didn't read. I just manipulated, somebody gave me some stuff. And then I score higher. And then Ibrahim, 2-1, first class. My first class is 0 because I don't know what I really did. And that's exactly what we are saying. And at the end, they put me in position. I cannot deliver. This man that studied will not have the opportunity.
All right.
So we really need to have this whole thing rejigged. But the challenge is that he mentioned something very, very important. He said, it's those that are in power, they are Nigerians. We need to change our mentality. We need to start reorientating ourselves.
Okay.
Because this madness of I want to be rich, I want to be bigger than you, larger than life, I think that is the problem. Because if you go abroad, you don't find people thinking that way. I'm comfortable being a factory worker because I can use that to take care of my family.
Okay.
and be contented.
All right.
But the reason everybody is clamoring to become this and that is because they are unable to meet both ends meet. I think that's the big problem. You cannot make the Naira strengthen where you are not producing anything, you are not exporting anything. You sit down there and be talking policy, it will not work.
Okay, let's see how it goes. Big thanks, Dr. Patrick Awosage. Big thanks also to you, Ibrahim Momo. And big thanks to you, Dr. Jude Obasomi, that joined us via Zoom from Ekoma, Edo State.